Now, here's the thing. I play Dandy's World, right? So I have a reasonable and even academic understanding of the game. So as a fellow Dandy's World player, I can say for certain that although I find the oh so articulate grinding system and gameplay fun, I can also say that every second I don't play the game is an active choice not to. Now, before I give my personal experience with the game, let me give you a simple rundown of the game itself. Dandy's World is a Roblox game better categorized in the mascot horror genre, and by now you would get that just from looking up the game on TikTok. I was not driven by curiosity, I was simply uneducated. Don't ever do this. You see, the characters you unlock and play as are called toons, and each toon has a specific set of requirements to unlock them. I'm not gonna get into how toons work, but just know that they all have different stats and abilities. But I will get into that later. The gameplay itself is very Dead by Daylight inspired to some extent, doing machines while avoiding twisteds, except it's AI playing those threats, not players. And holy shit, how did we get here? The higher you go into Dandy's world, the more dangerous it gets with more twisteds, machines, and floor events. Anyways, now that you're a certified scholar in the field of Dandy's world, let me move your attention towards this short clip that very summarizes my feelings as I'm playing. Now, at first, I found the game a tad bit confusing and me wondering why everyone was screaming ABC and very rarely XYC. And to this day, I still don't know why they used those, but I did figure out it was to gather people for a run. My experience with the gameplay itself is really dependent on whether I play with friends, complete strangers, or solo. You can figure out which I found the best way to play this game. What I also found is that the toon you play as is also a determining factor in how your experience playing this game can be. But of course it is. And that is because some toons, while mostly focused on extraction, have other roles such as support and distraction. Support, at least in my definition, being whether or not their ability benefits the group and not just healing. The role I like to take on when playing with friends is distractor. There's no best distractor because it all depends on playstyle, but I find Gooba and Pebble the most fun to play as when distracting. But when I do distract, there's no better feeling than being the sole reason everyone is still alive, especially in higher floors. Unless you die because of your own stupidity, and not because I feel like I'm doing good keeping them alive. No. When I distract, everyone is at my mercy. You tell me something about that medkit you apparently saw me take? Didn't happen. That Roger capsule you saw me open? Must have been the wind. Oh, I led Shelly to you? You probably just got in my way. No one, and I mean no one, can blame me for anything because the moment you speak up against your one and only protector, that's when I stop being one. Now, as distractor, I have noticed a few downsides, and that is simply the peak gameplay, which amounts to just circling in a spot. Yeah, whenever I feel bored, I'll just go walk around this other spot and okay, you see what I mean? And now that I really think about it, there's not a whole lot of benefit to being distractor because other than maybe getting first dibs on some items, you're not really going around doing machines and therefore can't get Ichor. Which yeah. Now even because of this, I still find this role pretty fun and that's kind of why I lean toward it. As it's not exactly the distracting itself that is enjoyable, but just the minimal effort I can put to make sure we get to higher floors as easy as possible. Granted, my peers are actually doing the machines and not just getting in my way or just simply sitting in a circle doing absolutely nothing but chit-chatting. I never noticed until I started questioning why it has been 10 minutes and the last machine isn't finished. I sometimes find myself playing this role even when I don't want to, and that's because I don't trust other distractors. Not to say everyone who has Pebble locked in doesn't know how to play him, but there have been more times where distractors die before we could make it to floor 5 and I just don't want to gamble my time with people. I'm either going to have a nice long 15 plus run or I'm getting tricked into a lobotomy because someone decided that it was a good idea to play Roger in the ABC for pro run my but when it comes down to it, being a distractor is all about having patience, and if you're the type of person to tune out when stuck with repetitive tasks, then this may or may not be a good fit. Maybe I would find this boring if it wasn't for the conversations me and my friends have as I'm circling around the table, but I digress. Now, what I believe to be a cool aesthetic choice, but also in some ways poorly executed, is the game's style itself. From what lore we do have, and yes, this game does have lore, it's a mascot horror, don't be so surprised, we could say that the Garden View seems to have been running in like the 90s before an accident occurred, and we're not going to get into that, but the point is that the art style itself, in my opinion, isn't exactly reflective of that time period as everything is too clean and it's not just the characters' designs and colors, but also how the Garden View doesn't seem really run down when it's supposedly been closed for quite a while. But whether or not it's just how the toons we play as perceive the Garden View, it's not really apparent that's the case. However, this is really only a problem in the lobby, and for the actual gameplay itself, it's pretty well done when it comes to the lighting and sound design that give areas a liminal emptiness to them, while the eeriness comes from lurking danger. Now, from the surface, the tunes appear to be the main focus of the game, and well, they are, and that's by design. So from my experience, the first time I played the game, I found it kind of overwhelming with how many characters are in the game, but don't worry, because soon enough you'll realize that the meta requires you to ignore a good portion of them anyway. Meta? This game has a meta? Yes, and to be completely honest, it ruins the entire point of the gameplay. It really isn't the game's fault, but more just so how some of the characters aren't designed to be played again once you unlock another character. Like, I like the idea of Brittany and her ability, but she only really feels like a step to getting V, who has the same ability but just more superior because it can be used in any floor, not just blackouts. This meta also includes which trinkets you use, and they're just little upgrades you can equip. Now, I used to instinctively follow the meta, and well, kinda still do, but only with certain tunes, as what I find fun now is mixing up my playstyle, whether or not I benefit from a run with the Vimo and Dark Plush more. Now, if you couldn't pick up on it before, the people who play this game can be a bit frustrating at times. And not because a bunch of them are kids and don't know how to play. I mean, you're gonna have to expect that when playing this kind of game. And other than that, the players are what creates the meta in the first place. It's the gatekeeping that I absolutely hate, which can make it harder for beginners to progress. And it isn't until you get a main is when you have full access to participate in any run. Now really, I don't care if a Boxer or Poppy wants to join my run, but most people just hate beginners as if they weren't just playing Boxton 2 months ago. It's like beginner discrimination in a way, and I just find it to also ruin the point of the gameplay, which is just play with whatever suits your playstyle and with whatever cards you're dealt with. Now, despite all this, I don't see the problem with main only runs and such. It's just how toxic players can get when someone wants to join but doesn't have a main. Like, dude, just kindly ask for them to leave, and if they don't, then switch servers. Not hard really if you have an ounce of patience. Even though this game can feel unfair sometimes and frustrating, I still find it stupid fun and addicting. And well, it doesn't frustrate me as much as, let's say, Marvel Rivals, but let's be honest, pretty much any game can best it in terms of fair gameplay. Also, I've been thinking of doing another gameplay video, like one on Dandy's World, and while I'd love to do another gameplay video, it's really just up to poor circumstances and not having much time. I'm not sure if anyone would want to watch that, but if you've made it this far, please feel free to comment any suggestions and such. Anyways, this has been Hakano, and I'll see you guys next year.